What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Now listen, let's just jump right into this, guys, because I got some Dave Chappelle news. Yes, comedian Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was supposed to be honored by his old high school. They were going to name a theater after him. But you would think this would be a great thing. You know, I know that it's a great honor. I know when my brother passed away, he was a police detective in New York, and they named a wing of our elementary school. Actually, it was a performing arts center that they named after him, and they made a scholarship in his name as well. You know, so it's a great honor, and we're very proud in the family to have that. So Dave Chappelle was going to get this, honor. And unfortunately, Dave Chappelle felt the need to decline this offer. All right, so let's get into the reasons why this is and why the reason that I think this is some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I respect his decision and everything, but I think this is a very, very sad commentary on where we are with cancel culture and the ignorance of people today. You know, this speaks volumes. But let's get into this, guys, because this story here is on newsmax.com. And it says here, Dave Chappelle declines high school renaming theater in his honor. He goes on to say, comedian Dave Chappelle opted against having a school in Washington, D.C. rename its theater after him. The Duke Ellington School of the Arts, where Chappelle graduated in 1991, was set to name its theater the Dave Chappelle Theater, but it will now be called the Theater for Artistic Freedom and Expression. Interesting, huh? Chappelle told the crowd gathered at the venue, which hosted him Monday, according to Fox 5. The decision was linked to recent criticism from students surrounding his Netflix special, The Closer. Now, guys, you have to wonder how many of these students actually took the time to watch The Closer. If you watch The Closer, and this is the thing that tells me this whole thing is full of shit. You know, if you watch The Closer, there's no way you can watch this and walk away honestly believing that Dave Chappelle was being anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-anything. He's a comedian. And the important thing about comedians in these days and times that we live in is that a lot of us look to them to just remind us how unimportant a lot of things are, yet important at the same time, but not too important that you can't find humor in it. You know, I think this is the power of the comedian in any society, that it takes a courageous and inventive mind to be able to find the humor and yet the social relevance in the commentary that they're making. You know what I mean? Like, when you get to the point in your society where you're running up on stage and you're smacking comedians and you're tackling them and attacking them in the media and trying to disgrace them and twist their whole words around that they were saying, it's comedy, but they do this, right? When you've reached that point in your society, you know that you're in the toilet. Okay, so going on. Chappelle faced backlash over comments he made about the trans community in the special, and then received scrutiny after his former high school announced it would name its theater after him. Chappelle then caused a stir when he showed up for a surprise visit to the school that he went to in November. Rather than receive a warm welcome, he was greeted with conflict. Many students were expecting an apology for his comments on The Closer. One student reportedly took the microphone and called Chappelle a bigot and said, "I'm 16 and I think you're childish. You handled it like a child," according to Politico. Chappelle responded. And you see, by the way, guys, that is so tragic, you know, that you have kids 16 years old who are spewing the bullshit that they're hearing from irresponsible adults in the media who are twisting this man's words around to suit their own agenda, you know, in their own, you know, like what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? They're just trying to put this out here, you know, and mislead the public. And in the process, you are miseducating these kids. And even worse, you're subverting and sabotaging their growth as individuals who are entitled to their own freedom of artistic expression. That's what this whole thing is supposed to be about. That's the point that's been missed. And Dave Chappelle says something similar. Dave Chappelle responded, "These kids don't understand that they were instruments of artistic expression. That is tragic. Think about that. These kids don't understand that they were instruments of artistic oppression." Chappelle said at the event Monday, according to the Washington Examiner, "The more you say I can't say something, the more urgent it is for me to say it, of course, because listen, This is not where this is going to stay. For future generations, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse as we get less tolerant of one another and less understanding of what that freedom of expression is actually supposed to look like. Chappelle also offered a defense of his Netflix special and took a shot at the media's coverage of it. He says, "You cannot report on an artist's work and remove artistic nuance," he said, according to the Washington Post's Josh Rogan. "It has nothing to do with what you're saying I can't say. It has everything to do with my freedom of artistic expression." On its website, the renamed theater promoted Monday's event in honor of Chappelle, and it said, "On June 20th, DESA will name the Performance Arts Theater at Ellington after one of its most noted alumni, comedian and actor Dave Chappelle," the website reads. "The event will include an unveiling, theater dedication, and a production filled with surprises for Dave and the audience. The naming comes in appreciation for his ongoing commitment and service to the school and advocacy for the arts." Now, how are you feeling? All of you students out there, with respect, because I know that you're young and impressionable, and that's what makes this even more disgusting, that the adults that you trust have misled you to the point where you can't honor somebody who is fighting for your rights of artistic expression, an advocate, someone who has dedicated service to the school that he came back to. And the funny thing about it is you have black people out there who say, how come more celebrities, black celebrities, don't give back to their community? How come they forget where they come from? Dave Chappelle tried to give back. He tried to not forget where he came from. And what did you do? You spit in his face. And for what? Because he didn't do the things that you said that he did. But I don't blame him. I don't blame him for saying, listen, I don't want this. Because can you imagine if he had put his name on that building, on that theater? Can you imagine? I can see it now. The vandals would have come by. You know, the people throwing, all types of stuff up there. Shit, graffiti, whatever, defacing his name. These people, they're predictable. They would have done that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't blame him. But at the same time, even though they think they might have got victory over him, the mere fact that he would have went on to have this thing actually renamed the Theater for Artistic Freedom and Expression just shows me that Dave Chappelle just got a W, even though they think it's an L. And you know what else, guys? Real quick. What's even more tragic about this is I don't know how many of you people have realized by 2022, we should all have noticed by now that every black person of note, modern times I'm talking about today, they get recognized, but they get recognized, especially the ones who have achieved. The ones who have achieved and are achieving, outside of the realm of, like sports or whatever, entertainment and all that, even though Chappelle is an entertainment. Clearly, he is also a philosopher and philanthropist. But I'm just saying, not to, shit on those professions. But I'm just saying, have you noticed that accomplished black professionals tend to be seen more times than not as Uncle Toms, as coons, if they don't go with the accepted political leanings of a certain group, then they're open to be called all of these anti-black names, and it's open fire on them, no matter who they are or what they're supposed to stand for. If you don't go down that beaten path, ironically, that same beaten path that was dictated to us by the president and his party, which had a history of enslaving those same people, then, like I said, people are dismissive of you. They have no use for you, but anyone who had gone on to look into Dave Chappelle, anyone who had gone on to look into Gina Carano, for example, would understand the truth of the matter, and they would stop letting the media dictate how they think. That's the most alarming thing about this, is that you're reaching out to impressionable kids to the point where they would shun this man when he's trying to give something back to you. That is heartbreaking, man. And I feel bad for Dave Chappelle, but at the same time, I admire him for taking the stand that he has taken, because artistic expression, it means something. It really does. And the freedom of speech, it means something. So that's the reason why when I talk on these videos, on this small channel that I have, I won't back down to these people who come in here, and I had some guy talk about, dude, stop talking about yourself, talking about how you're right. Dude, shut the fuck up. All right. This is important. Do you understand? All right. I didn't just start doing this yesterday. I've been dealing with this for years, and I'm not the only one who's out there. So people need to start speaking up about having the right to speak some common sense into the world, because those people who are trying to manipulate you, no one's telling them to shut up. No one is silencing them, right? So there's got to be a balance in life, and that's what I stand for. All right. So I applaud Dave Chappelle for that, because I recognize him as doing the same thing on a massive scale, more so than I could ever dream of doing. So yes, my respect and my hat goes off to you, Dave Chappelle. So listen, guys, that's all I have to say. You can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this. As always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. When you subscribe, please hit the notification bell. And also, I thank anyone in advance who might want to give to the Super Thanks feature. And I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.